So the question is about small-scale presenting outside of major urban centers. Who wants to tackle this one? I could say just off the bat, one of the first resources is those two associations I mentioned earlier, Professional Association of Canadian Theatres and the Candance Network. It's a pretty comprehensive list of every organization that presents. But you might also consider making contacts in communities and opening up your own avenues for presentation. I can just share one anecdote quickly. I've developed a relationship with a theater in Saskatchewan, in Yorkton, Saskatchewan. It's a town of 20,000 people. And because I'm developing a work right now on the subject of home that relates to my connection in Saskatchewan. And so I approached a local theater there. They've never hosted an artist in residence before, and I proposed a residency to them. And I explained to them what it is that I wanted to do there, how it would benefit them, how I would work with the community. And it wasn't really that difficult, actually. They were really interested and, wrote me a letter outlining exactly what it is that I wanted. And so sometimes in these smaller places, there isn't the same kind of culture of engagement with artists on a regular basis. Like there isn't that kind of infrastructure, so you just have to invent it yourself. Find the right connection to make. I don't know. Maybe Kevin, you could talk a little bit about that from a community arts perspective. How you've made some of those connections.
You just have to research. I think you could go online, and if you have just type that inquiry in. Community arts theater in Yukon or community presentations in Yukon, and finding, I'm sure there are theaters up there. There's so many community theaters around in the country that you can actually just search their information online and then just simply send an email out to someone just saying, hi, this is who I am and I'm interested in so and so, and see what the response will be. This just came to mind, and I'm plugging another conference I'm doing on Thursday at University at U of T Scarborough. And it's going to be looking at all these that we're talking about, which is from the community level to understanding your audiences, your product, and then how you can market it for organizations. And it's going to be Thursday, March 24th, between 1 to 5 p.m. It's free. And it's at U of T Scarborough in the old council chambers. And it's part of their arts management course that they're doing. But again, Sian, I don't remember his last name, from Scarborough Arts Council is there. Because there's like Scarborough Arts Council, Etobicoke Arts Council. There's all these small regional community councils that are good ways to get in via networking, by meeting someone who works there and saying, okay, what are your projects coming up? I remember I did a presentation at U of T Scarborough for SAPAMO, again, SAPAMO, which is Cultural Pluralism in the Arts. And it's a good network as well for emerging artists. It looks at cultural pluralism in terms of the broadening the understanding of the arts in terms of how we see it and present it. And they're actually the ones who are hosting this particular conference. And they're having, again, people from Markham Theatre, from Toronto Arts Council, from Scarborough Arts Council, and they're all going to be there. We're having this panel, we're sharing information as well about, this whole thing of how do you sustain yourself as an artist for a long period of time. So if you can, come on out.
The one thing that I would add is if you know what the work is about. Like I'm working on a piece right now, and I'm trying to do what you're doing, and but the work that I'm involved in is connected to disability arts culture, and so I'm starting by connecting to or disability organizations who may be interested in the work, and that's been the best way to do it. I found that that's been much easier than going to theaters or arts-based, because then I have an instant partner in that community who can then help act as a resource and help me liaise through the other. So finding people who find meaning in the same kind of meaning in the work that you're making.
I forgot to mention, there's another set of resources that could be really useful if you're thinking about like regional touring or regional networks of presenters. So every every region of the country has a regional network of presenters, and it's not discipline specific, but they're usually networks of actual like physical theaters. And so in Ontario, the network is called CCI, which I think stands for Community Cultural Impresarios. And so that would be where like the Markham Theatre is a member. And so they have a conference every year, and artists can apply to showcase their work at these conferences. So it's where all of the presenters from across Ontario will come together to see, like basically they sit in the theater for like 3 days straight and they watch work that has been curated for them, and it's an opportunity for you to book with them. It's a somewhat expensive process though for artists, like it's a bit of an investment, but if you do succeed at getting in, like it's not guaranteed, but it's highly likely that you'll be booked by someone in that avenue. So that's the one for Ontario. There's one for the East Atlantic provinces, there's one for the Prairie provinces, and one for BC. And their events are usually called Contact something, like Contact Ontario or Contact East or Pacific Contact. And those are the events that you want to look up, and they do have an application process, and you can go to their websites and take a look at that. Just
Capicoa has like a massive list of resources.
Yes, thank you. So Capicoa, that's the national association that regroups all the members of these regional associations. Thanks, Jessica.
Yes, and I forgot to mention on the community level, there's also like Art Smarts, Mariposa in the schools. They're coming to me as we go along.